right, good afternoon, everyone. This Thursday afternoon, Parsha Shmos. I hope you're doing well. We're going to study a Rashi together. A simple Rashi, a short Rashi, at the beginning of the fifth Aliyah today, but I think a nice one, an important one. In the fourth Aliyah, of course, in our Parsha, we have the beginnings of instructions to Moshe Rabbeinu about how to save the Jewish people and how to go save them from Egypt, the reluctance of Moshe Rabbeinu, etc., etc. But then in the fifth Aliyah, we get much more specific instruction. Hashem says to him, Lech v'asafta ziknei Yisrael. First, when you go to Egypt, gather the elders of Israel. That's the first group you have to speak to. You have to get them on board, and then they're going to help you get the rest of the people on board. So go gather the elders. V'amarta lehem. You say to them these words: Hashem Elokei avosechem nira elai. The God of my forefathers appeared to me. Elokei Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, the God of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Lemor, saying to me, Pakod pakadati eschem, v'asasui lechem Mitzrayim. I have surely remembered you and that which was done to you in Egypt. Va'omar aleh eschem oni Mitzrayim el eretz ha'kna'ani, and he said that he would take us out of Egypt to the land of the Knaani, Chiti, Amori, Prizi, Chivi, Vusi, all these nations, El Eretz Zavas Chalav Udvash, the land flowing with milk and honey. And Hashem says, after you say that to them, that particular language, Vishamula Kolecha, they're going to listen to you. And then after they listen to you of the buy-in from them and presumably from the rest of the nation, which they're going to publicize it to, then Uvasa Tavazik Yisrael Melech Mitzrayim. Then you go to stage two. Then you go to Melech Mitzrayim. You try to convince him of the fact that this has to happen, that you have to leave, you have to go serve your God. And of course, in that case, he's not going to listen to you. And I'm going to harden his heart back and forth, until finally the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So there's a marked contrast between the way the news will be taken by the Zikanim and presumably the nation, which is Vishamula Kolecha, and when they come to Paro and they tell him, and he will refuse, already predicted by Kadosh Baruch Hu, he will refuse to listen. So Rashi comments on why it's so easy, so to speak, for the Zikanim and for the nation to listen to Moshe Rabbeinu and to his message. If you notice beforehand, Hashem doesn't just tell him and dispatch him to go tell a story to the Zikanim. He gives him the specific language. Lech v'asafta ziknei Yisrael, say these words to them. Hashem, Elokei avosechem, etc., etc. Why these specific words, and why will they listen? Because you're not just coming with a general message, you're coming with these particular words which I'm feeding you, I'm giving into your mouth. Yishmu elecha. That's why they're going to listen to you. Because of the words I'm giving you, not the message. The message they may never be willing to hear. But if you say it through these particular words, then I know they're going to hear the message. Why? Because there is a sign that has been handed down to them generation after generation. Miyakov, Yosef, from Yaakov, who came down to Mitzrayim, from Yosef, who ruled over Mitzrayim, Shebelashon hazeh hem nigalim. That through this language, these words, that's going to be the key to their redemption. It's a Mesorah. It's a heritage. It's an inheritance passed down generation to generation all through the years of slavery, that when you hear these magic words coming from the deliverer, you know it's true. You know it's going to happen. You know that's the Siman HaGeula. That's the sign that you are truly going to be redeemed. And it was passed down. Yaakov amar lahem Elohim pakod ifkod eschem. Yosef amar pakod ifkod Elohim eschem. Yosef, in his instructions to be buried, he tells the Bnei Yisrael, "Pakod ifkod Elohim eschem v'alisim esas motzai mizeh." You're surely going to be redeemed, and when you are redeemed with those words, "Pakod yifkod," you should, by the way, take my bones with you when you go. All of this transpired upon the circumstances last week's parsha surrounding Yosef's death. But over here, Rashi is reinforcing that it's the specific words, pakod pakadati. It's these words which God instructs Moshe to deliver to the Zikanim and the people. It's through the repetition of those words that the people will latch on and they'll say, oh, I got it. Yes, I believe. Yes, I understand this is a true geula, because all through the generations, we were told that when we hear those magic words, those specific words, we know that it's a true sign of the geula from Hashem. So you have to imagine here that it was very hard for slaves to hear the message of freedom. We know this from later, from next week's parsha. Parshas Va'era, Moshe comes with the Arba Lashonas Geula, the 4 stages of what's going to happen, the details. And what does the pasuk tell us? Israel. He spoke to Bnei Israel. Velo Shamua Moshe. They didn't listen to him. Mikotze Ruach u'me'avodah kasha. When the details of the Geula came, they couldn't listen. Even though you would imagine slaves would be eager to hear about their redemption when you're sunk in the pits of slavery, it's very hard to hear messages of freedom and redemption. You're not open to that. You're not willing to hear it. You're not capable of hearing it. You're too closed in. You're too closed down. So why is it that here in specific, Vishamule Kolecha, Hashem promises that they will hear, they will listen despite their circumstance? It's all based on those words, Pakod, Pakadati. Those 2 magic words, those 2 key words. And why do those 2 keywords have such power? Because they were handed down generation after generation in the Masorah. There's a lot to say here about openness to listening. There's a lot to say about how we can hear positivity and hope when we're in a situation of despair. There's a lot to say on these psukim and these messaging here. But what struck me about the Rashi today, as I was thinking about it, was just the sheer power of Masorah, the sheer power of tradition, of things handed down one generation after the other. It seems that in this circumstance, no words could get through to Am Yisrael. No words could get through to slaves about their freedom, except the words of the Masorah. That's how weighty, how powerful the Masorah can be, the tradition can be. When we pass something down generation to generation, it compounds in its effect, and it has an effect on people even in the worst of circumstances when they would never be able to or open to listening to the message. If it's a message that was handed down generation to generation, there's a chance they might listen. And I think that speaks to the power of the things we hand down. We have to be careful what we hand down. Sometimes we hand down the wrong messages, messages that get compounded in terms of their negativity over the course of generations. But we also have the capacity to hand down the positive messages of our ancestors, to continue that chain, to continue to compound the effect they can have, knowing that in the future, somehow, as long as we've passed down those messages of our tradition, our Masorah, our Torah, our mitzvos, that even in the circumstances when people are most far removed from it, when it will be most difficult for them to hear it and to see it and to believe it, there's a chance, a fighting chance that maybe it will get through to them, just based on the sheer power of the Masorah from which it came. Thank you so much, everybody, and hope you have a great day.
Beautiful, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Have a great day,
Thank you.
everybody. Take care. Bye.